tool by Robin Wood is a specialized spidering tool that scrapes word lists from web applications. It can recursively follow the links inside of the web applications and move across or within the web app to find more words on different pages automatically. Usage is fairly straightforward. We can look at an example using the Matilda application. So here we have Matilda running on a local Ubuntu server, and we went to the add blog page to start, although we could have really started from the home page because the add blog page is linked from the home page anyway. And because CEWL is a spider, it's going to crawl across the site anyway. Now I have artificially set the depth to 1 just to keep the demo as short as possible. But notice by default that the depth is going to be 2, and of course you can increase it if you want to go vertically down further into sites to reach deeper and deeper pages. But that can get exponentially more pages because you're also going to be spreading across the site while simultaneously moving down the number of levels specified by the D. The M is the minimum word length. So for example, if you're gathering words off the site for usernames, you may want to set that around 4 or 5, just depending on what you think the username length is going to be for a given site. If you're trying to gather passwords off a site, you can determine what the password policy is and then set M for minimum length to the smallest password that the site would allow. That way you're not getting words that are shorter and useless. -W is write, and we're going to write our words out to temp words, and V for verbose. Then we need to specify the URL. Again, we're going to start from the add to your blog page for no particular reason other than it's a good example. So go ahead and run the tool, and it starts to quickly grab the text out of the site. In our case, it's only going to grab words that are at least 7 characters long because of the way we set up the command. So right now in our file, we're going to have these different words. You can scroll down and see various ones it captured. So we can look at a couple of the words it might have grabbed. So if we look for the word password, for example, it found somewhere on some page the word password, and passwords and ASDF password and Fred password all contain the string password inside. So if you need to create a word list from a specific website, CEWL is a great and easy tool to use because it's very quick and efficient and doesn't require a lot of effort to run quickly. To do a password audit on MySQL hashes, the first step is to get the hashes out of the MySQL server. We can do that with a query on the MySQL server. Got a sample file here that we can look at. So using this query here, select the user column and the password column from mysql.user table. We can pull the username and the password out. You can actually put those into a spreadsheet and then come up with this format here. The format that John the Ripper or JTR is going to want to see is username, colon, and then the password hash. So for example, this is the correct format down here. If you don't have the format correct, and when you run John the Ripper on the password hashes, it may say an error like no password hash is loaded. This query here can go ahead and pull the data out of the MySQL server and get it formatted all in one step. So what we have is we have this inner concat function called on the user column and the host column, concatenating an @ symbol between them. For example, we have here bill at localhost that resulted from that inner concatenation. And we also have that result concatenated by this outer concat function with the password column with a semicolon in between. The end result is the username at server colon and then the password hash. This asterisk here in front of the password hash is actually in the mysql.user table. It indicates to MySQL that this is the 4.1 format of the password hash. MySQL had used a different hash in previous versions that was shorter, and it didn't have the star preceding it. It came out later with the double SHA-1 hash format with the star preceding it to indicate as such. Now, John the Ripper's not going to want to see all this formatted stuff in the tables. It only wants the username, colon, and the hash. So I've taken this lower portion here and copied it off to a separate file. So we can see in this mysql.hashes file that it's just the raw usernames and passwords. And we can go ahead and let JTR take a shot at cracking these. So the first thing I'm going to do is clear any previous work that I've been doing in cracking these hashes. And I'm going to clear out the john.pot file, which would have previous results. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and run John on this mysql.hashes file. And pretty quickly, because these passwords are very bad passwords that were picked just for this demo, it runs through them pretty quick. There are a couple it's having trouble with. One in particular is more than 10 characters, and it uses upper lowercase symbols and numbers. It's not something that's going to be easily attacked with a dictionary style attack, even with mutations. So we can let it run for a while longer, but this pretty well gets the point across. If you have trouble and you get an error that says no password hashes were loaded, just double check that your format is correct. It's username, colon, hash, one per line, and there's no extraneous characters or extra characters at the end like tabs or spaces that are left onto the end of the lines. If you get an error like no password hash is loaded, or you get something like a cipher not recognized or something like that, make sure you've actually got the John Jumbo patch installed. The standard version of John that comes with some Linuxes may not have the full patch with all the different ciphers installed. And in that case, you may have a format like MySQL that doesn't come with the standard version, and it's not going to know how to crack those passwords. If you want to check, you use John help and look at the format. You can see format equals name. This is where you can tell John what format the password hashes are in. In the case of the MySQL, it guessed it easy enough, but we could have set this to format equals MySQL SHA-1. Now, if we pulled this help up and we didn't see MySQL listed right here in these possible formats, then we don't have the patch installed that allows us to crack these kind of passwords. So if you get those errors, those are a couple of things to look at. It's easy enough to go out to the OpenWall website, download the latest version of John, install it, or compile it and install it on your system, and that'll give you the ability to have these extra formats. Let's take a look at another common sample in Ubuntu password file. So here's the password file for this Ubuntu. It's got some users that were put in here, J. Smith and so forth. And notice that the hashes are not in here because the Ubuntu system using the Shadow system that came out in Linux a long time ago, and most Linux are not going to have the password hashes in the password file anymore. But you will see the usernames in there. Remember, for our format, we need username, colon, and password hash to be the right format. You don't actually have to have the username in the file for John to crack the passwords, but the problem is when it cracks the passwords, it's not going to be able to associate them to the username for you if you don't have the pair in there. I've also copied the shadow file out into this file, and we can see that in here we've got the hashes. This is Ubuntu 13.4, 13.10, right in that range, so these are using the latest and greatest hashing format. You can tell it's version 6 because it has the little 6 up here in the front. So those are going to be long hashes that are difficult to break. So there's a utility that comes with JTR that will let you merge the password file and the shadow file together so that we can get the right format for JTR to try to crack them, and it's just called the unshadow utility. So we can run unshadow, and we pass it the password file. And then we can also, and then the second file we pass it is the shadow file. And then we have to redirect the output to a third file. Right, and we can see that the unshadowed utility takes the two files and merges them together into a format that's suitable for JTR to go ahead and start cracking. Alright, and it's cracked the first one pretty easy because the username was equal to the password, and so JTR goes ahead and tries the username as the password and things like the username backwards and stuff like that. Some of the quick easy hits to try to find the low hanging fruit. But it's actually, even though the passwords are very similar, the words used to create the passwords in this MySQL example and this Ubuntu example are actually very similar, if not some of the same passwords. But it's going to take JTR a lot longer to crack these ones from Ubuntu, and the reason why is actually right here. If you look at the hash used in the Ubuntu 13.10 series, you can see it's a SHA-512. It's much more difficult to calculate those SHA-512s than it is the SHA-1s, and it's going to take longer to run these tests. For the MySQL test that we did, it was a SHA series of hash, but it was the SHA-1 applied 2 times. So they took the password and ran it through SHA-1 and got the answer, then they took that answer and ran it through SHA-1 again. It may seem like having double SHA-1 is more secure perhaps than a single SHA-512, but because of the way hashing works, the amount of difficulty in breaking them is exponentially related to the length of the hash, and so doing a SHA-1 twice is not an exponential. It's you're simply multiplying two things together. Is more or less like linear. It's doing the same amount of work twice, so it's like 2 times the amount of work. It's not. It's a linear growth. It's not exponential. So it's actually much more difficult for JTR to crack these SHA-512s than it is for it to crack the SHA-1 twice. All it has to do SHA-1 twice is just to do a double SHA-1 with its guess and see if it matches. Here it has to do a SHA-512 with its guess and see if that matches. If we leave it long enough, it is going to get a few of these passwords. They're really bad passwords, and they're going to be figured out in 10 minutes or less, but it's interesting to note how much longer it does take with the same exact password but with 2 different hashing algorithms. So this has been an introduction to using John for the first time, and hopefully it helps you get started with doing password audits.